Clearly, Vegas had no loyalty, right? Like,
No,
you show they were ruthless. Like Marc-Andre Fleury was a fan favorite. Look how they treated him, right?
Nate
And
Schmidt was a fan favorite. Got rid of him to get
they gave
Petrangelo.
Alex Tuck a massive contract, like an extension, not a massive like in terms of I guess 7-year extension. In terms of money, I don't know how much it was, and you instantly trade him for Jack Eichel. So any opportunity they got, they pounced, right? And you could say that Gary Bettman helped them, sure, it's fine, but at the same time, how much is it because teams gave up players, exposed them to the expansion draft, and then they were able to flip those guys, especially
When they were able to protect their own players too.
especially that part was kind of stupid, but especially when they won the first year, it's like, okay, they got the confidence. There's a reason why Nate Schmidt got traded to the Canucks for a 3rd-round pick, right?
Yeah.
So my question to you is the loyalty in sports in general. Where do you stand on things? Because you experienced it for this championship right here. DeMar DeRozan was a huge fan favorite, and I don't know what was your initial reaction to that DeMar DeRozan trade, and were you like many people, pissed off that they got rid of him?
Okay, yeah. Like, I wouldn't say I was happy, right?
Yeah,
But it is a business,
right.
right?
And what
You
happened?
wanna
Guess what you got out of it?
GMs, front offices, owners are gonna make moves to win, right? That's what they do. That's why they have their jobs.
Yeah,
They don't like. Yes, DeRozan was a fan favorite. Yes, Schmidt. Yes, Fleury was a fan favorite. And sometimes people just do get treated poorly. Like, there are situations where like the guy's actually playing good and you trade him for no reason, right?
yeah,
But in this case, like, you can't fault them because they got what they wanted.
and the reason why I'm saying this is because you see fans all over, right? I know you're not on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. You see just in general reactions, maybe on Instagram as well, right? That like when a fan favorite gets traded, for example, I'm gonna get into the Bo Horvat example here, that team players get pissed, right? And obviously the Bo Horvat thing happened long before we started the podcast, but I'm gonna just bring that up because I love Bo Horvat, right? Bo Horvat, I wish him all the best in the Islanders, right? I'm not that guy that says, fuck Bo Horvat, screw this guy, he's no longer a Canuck, right? In my opinion, he did not want out. The situation, how he played, he obviously, the organization did not believe in him to give him the contract they feel like he deserved and he wanted, right? There's a reason why he got traded, right? And obviously people are pissed, like, oh my God, you kept JT Miller, which is a whole different argument. We're not going to get into that. But the thing that pissed me off was, as much as I love Bo Horvat, he was probably my favorite Canuck at the time. And the thing is, he didn't do anything for Vancouver long term. Now, is it his fault completely? No, I blame Benning for a lot of it because you did not build a proper team around it, except for the 1 year in the bubble, which we were already in a playoff spot before the shutdown happened. But except for that 1 year, he was a good captain, but he wasn't a great captain. Like, he wasn't vocal. He wasn't like, I'm not saying like every captain needs to be freaking like a Brad Marchand type or Matthew Tkachuk type guy, because Henrik Sedin was not that. But show by example, right? Show some emotion in some other sense. The thing that pissed me off was like when the fans were like, "Oh my God, look how good Bo Horvat's doing in New York." Well, now his ass is at home, and now they're quiet, right? Like he struggled in the playoffs mightily.
He did struggle.
So
he didn't like Islanders got what 4-2'd,
you could,
and I was surprised they even got 4-2'd.
you could,
I
yeah,
thought it'd be
you could,
4.
you could
I
still
thought it was 4-0.
you could still respect and love what Bo Horvat did in Vancouver. He did not want out. He publicly said he wanted to stay here. So I'm against the people that are saying, "Oh yeah, he didn't want to be here," blah blah blah, the money situation. Listen, I'm for every guy to get paid. If he deserved his money, let him live. Like the fans that are saying, like the one comment he made, which he took back, was that, oh, better than Vancouver comment. Whatever, right? He got his 8 by 8.5 million a year, right? He's moved on. The fans need to move on as well.
Here's my point.
Especially with 1 second, especially with that situation. Because he did not do shit here that gave us success. One playoff run isn't a successful thing. Right? If you were truly that guy, you would propel a team to a playoffs. Kind of like what, I guess Pettersson didn't do much this year, but he still had 100 points. Right? The rest of the team didn't do well.
Oh, it's not on Pettersson.
Yeah, but in that case, like Horvat did not do much in that case.
Yeah, no.
So the loyalty for me is like, yes, it made sense to trade him because if we had given him that contract, guess who looks like it's stupid?
That's already us because we did the with JT Miller. But here's my point. The same Raptors fan like I'm about this topic about loyalty. The same Raptor fan that were pissed off about DeRozan getting traded are the same Raptor fans celebrating a title.
Exactly my point, right?
Right.
The thing with this, especially now, I'm not gonna put this on the Canucks fully, but I'm just saying like the fandom was like, do whatever it takes to get in the playoffs. Anything could happen mentality, or no, you need to rebuild. For me, it's like, yes, we'll get into the Canucks talk next week or the week after when we talk about the NHL draft. Is if they just general any team, if they did not bring you success, you need to be ruthless like Vegas did. Look how many changes they made. Okay, and then they're like, okay, it's time to move coaches. They moved Gerard Gallant.
They added every year.
They
like
moved Gerard.
players and
On top of
coaches,
that, they moved Gerard Gallant. They moved Peter DeBoer. Gerard Gallant took him to the Stanley Cup Finals in his first year. He got fired.
In the second year, right? Like
First year, like the expansion, the initial year, Vegas.
yeah.
He took him to the finals that year. Then
Yeah,
he got
then
fired.
He got fired the next
Like
year.
the second or third year, right?
Yeah.
Then Pete DeBoer came. They got rid of him, right? They kept adding. They kept taking. I won't be surprised if they keep making moves this year just to be back where they are, right? Like Trevor Linden was on Halford and Bruff in the morning, and he mentioned he didn't have the heart in him to tell the Sedins we wanted to rebuild. I love the Sedins. I understand there would have been. I gave the Bo Horvat example, but Sedins, as much as success they had in Vancouver, we did not get the ultimate prize. So if the ultimate goal was to maybe move them or tell them, hey, we're rebuilding, you could stay here. If not, we'll try to find you a better place. That would have been the best choice. And now, if they had won the cup in 2011, then I would be like, yeah, don't trade them. Because you got the ultimate goal. So there is factors, right? If you do win a cup, then you try to keep them for sure, right? Because they're synonymous to the franchise. And even then, me saying this take might be like, well, then that's stupid. Why do you only want to win one? You got to win more. In that case, fair game, right? My personal opinion is, and we're going to get into Atiba Hutchinson because we had to talk about this at the World Cup, was if those like Sedins are legends in Vancouver and they helped you win a cup, then I'll be like, okay, that's fine. You keep them here. You try to build around them as much as you can. Look what Pittsburgh's doing with Crosby and Malkin, right? Now they're obviously elite, and they have multiple cups. But if they hadn't helped you win, even though it was so close, you have to move on to make your team better for the future and not handicap yourself for the now, which they kind of what they did, right?
It's
so like
a business.
To your point, you have to be ruthless and you need to see moves because people love to play it safe, and then you're like, oh my god, the fan base is gonna be pissed off. Like,
who cares?
Yeah,
right. You're doing your job. If you care about the fans thing, you're losing your job, right? Whatever GM or like, if you care about the fans will be pissed. Who gives a shit? You're losing your job. It's your job, right? You want to think what's best for you and best for the team. You don't, right? Obviously, you want to think about the fans, right? But if you think what's best for the team and you execute, that's what's best for the fans.
You see what Vegas did. Now, it helps that you're a 6-year franchise and you have no ties to anybody, but it doesn't matter. You got to move. Like, Masai Ujiri got rid of arguably the second best player at the time, or second greatest Raptor of all time.
People might, at the time, you might consider him first because like, he was like draft pick.
Yeah, exactly,
too,
right? So
like he was there, and he said himself that he wanted to be a Raptor for life.
Exactly, right?
Not enough people come here, and you traded him. Obviously, DeRozan would be pissed. Obviously, fans would be pissed.
I don't care about DeRozan in this.
I don't know, but I'm saying like people are gonna be pissed,
right?
So even Lowry was pissed. Lowry moved on.
Yeah.
Right?
So people. That's what I'm saying with the Bo Horvat thing. I'm like, people got to move on. Like when he comes back to Vancouver next year, you give him he deserves a standing ovation. In my opinion, he deserves a video tribute, and then you move on. That's it. If he had won you a cup, like then I'm sure you could give him multiple video tributes, but he hasn't. You give him that one time and you move on because he's living life in Long Island right now, right? And it's the same thing to your point with the Vegas thing is like, that's my point. Just be ruthless. Marc-Andre Fleury, right?
Nate Schmidt,
like you mentioned. So
they got rid of Nate Schmidt just to get Pietrangelo that year. I remember that year.
Exactly.
Because it was a bubble year. Pietrangelo's a free agent, right?
Yeah.
After the bubble, they're like, all right, Nate Schmidt, you're gone. You have $5 million. We're gonna get rid of your $5 million and get an extra $2 million. I think they paid like Pietrangelo like $7-8 million around there.
It's time to be ruthless. You can't be invested in a guy again. Like I said, Sedins were club legends. If they had won a cup, then I would have understood it. Because I'm gonna contradict myself when we bring up Atiba Hutchinson.
No. The thing is this: with the Sedins is like there were signs that like, all right, you could make a cup final run. Obviously, I agree with you after like if you're gonna rebuild,
essentially after 2015.
Yeah, like after that, okay, you could have argued for trading him, but like
not even just trading him. Like, okay, if you want to stay here, this is how much we're gonna give you, but we're gonna be shit essentially.
Yeah, and then at that time we're like, okay, yo, you have a team around them. You have like Kester, you have Luongo, you have all these people around them. Like, okay, you can make a run, which they did, right? And they did come up short. And then the thing is, after that, when they got 4-1 by LA, right? And then after that, they didn't really
4-0 by San Jose as well.
they did.
I think the next year.
Did they make the playoffs next year?
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Like they weren't good after.
Yeah. Essentially, after 4-2 Calgary, it should have been like done.
Yeah,
Like,
I
when
was thinking maybe even before that.
they missed the playoff only 1 year.
Yeah,
That's why.
right. So like legit after that 4-2 against Calgary, like especially it was Calgary,
Yeah,
right? That time Calgary they weren't that great compared to what you guys were. And you got
exactly. So
and Calgary low key dominated because they went up like 3-1 too.
yeah, no, I'm in that mindset of where like you got to think what's best for the team. You can't obviously ownership's a big factor in this, right? In any sport, and they are circumstances. Like I said, if you have won a cup, sure, you could argue that
then
they should stay on the team
Your point with ownership is like, yeah, sometimes ownership's like,
because they all
I don't want to rebuild because like I'm gonna lose ticket sales.
The reason why I'm bringing the loyalty thing is also the whole Damian Lillard situation, right?
Yeah.
Now, sometimes some people are saying, "Oh, he's only loyal because that's where he gets the most money." Fair argument, right? But yes, is Dame loyal? I'm not even saying just the teams need to trade players. Players need to, like what Jack Eichel did. Essentially, is what players need to do as well, because you're gonna waste your time there, and it sucks because in the NHL you don't get 4-year contracts like you do in the NBA, which requires a lot of player movement, right? And it sucks that you're in a hard cap situation, but you have to force your way out at times, like Matthew Tkachuk did. Look where Matthew Tkachuk is now. You think Matthew Tkachuk is not happy? Yes, he's not happy he didn't win, but he ultimately at least made the final, which he never did with Calgary.
Calgary didn't make it past the second round.
Exactly. So players and teams need to be what's the word? Lethal, essentially, with their choices. Like you did it with Masai Ujiri, you did it with the Raptors, Matthew Tkachuk did it, and Jack Eichel did it with their respective situation. That's my point here, right? If you had won a cup, then for sure you could argue that person that you could say you don't get rid of that guy like a Jonathan Quick, for example.
Yeah.
I didn't think Jonathan Quick should have been traded, but that's exactly my point.
But I
The
think
Kings were lethal.
Kings were lethal.
They
right?
moved them
They
on.
needed a goalie. Like
Exactly.
Cal Peterson, $5 million, and he was in the
AHL.
AHL.
Right?
Jonathan Quick, obviously, year before he was great, really great, but age is catching up to him, and he wasn't great this year.
Yeah.
And then obviously they made the move for Jonas Korpisalo.
You got rid of literally the guy that won you a cup. 2 of them. And obviously you saw the repercussions. My opinion in that case, I don't think you should move him on. But I think that the best choice was they moved on from him. Because you got Korpisalo and you got to see what he could do as a King, and now you could sign him as well.
It's kind of
On
funny.
top of that, Gavrikov.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny because like if you look at numbers wise, they did worse this year than last year.
Yeah, no, for sure. So there's certain situations.
Yeah, there's situations like where like
If they
obviously
are there
Canucks
from
owners,
day
right?
one.
Yeah, no, like if you're like owners are taking over, like owners be like, yo, I don't want to rebuild, I want ticket sales.
Exactly. Dame Lillard.
Right?
Why would you trade Dame Lillard then?
Yeah, right. So then that case is tough to do your job as a GM.
As a
It's tough.
GM, yes, but I'm
Yeah,
just saying as an organization as a
Yeah.
whole, because it's best for Damian Lillard to ask out, and it's best for Portland to move on. In my opinion, Damian Lillard to rebuild and build from the scratch. But no, because Damian Lillard brings you ticket sales, and he's the superstar attraction. That you're gonna keep him, right? So yeah, that's my point with the loyalty thing. Like, you gotta be lethal, and look what it's gotten people essentially.
Like your dream as a player, as an organization, is to win, right? And I honestly, if that's not your dream, if that's not your goal, I don't know what type of organization you are.
Exactly.
I don't know what
Organization
type of
things.
player you are.
And if you're a player, if you care about the bank, that's fine. Go chase the bag. That's your choice. At least you admit it. That's your choice. Like Carmelo Anthony kind of did back. Because he was supposed to be the original Heedle.